to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm good. We're doing our second recording for tonight,
I know,
so that I could go on vacation. But I'm good. I'm doing good.
It's going to be interesting because these people are going to be like, oh, "Wait a second, they recorded them way in advance." It's like, yeah. Sometimes we kind of have to. We've been really good about not doing that, but the early shows, man, we had a lot of early shows that were like way taped in advance. Taped in advance.
Yeah. The only reason we're doing this is because Tina needs to go travel. So,
which is super awesome because you need to get away. There's
4 different places in the month.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
That is. It's pretty cool. I mean, and look, as people, we need that shit. Like we need
absolutely do.
Yeah, if you definitely need to get out and about and get on the road every blue moon. So
yeah, and just see people. That's what I'm doing this month. It's spending time with people. I'm going to see a bunch of cousins up north. I'm going to go spend some time with my married friends that I refer to as the crazies. They're kind of wild. I love them. Going to go and party.
I know the crazies, don't I?
You do.
I do know the crazies. That's right.
And then go see my friends in El Paso, and I got a lot going on.
So the crazies live out of state now, right?
Yes, they do. And I haven't seen them since last year, probably like October, November, maybe. Yeah. And I just need to be with my people,
It's funny. I didn't know that, but my kid called to get a radio put in his car, and he's like, I don't even live there anymore. And he's like, damn.
Yeah. They left me. I feel like I was abandoned by them. I'm just saying it. No.
Yeah. Well, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So check out our socials, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and make sure to go to our podcasters there. It's Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and make sure that you click on that little, hey, I want to hear their show all the time. So it just pops up, which is really cool because I actually did it. Because if you can believe this, I actually listened to our own show just to make sure that what is going out there is on there, and it pops right up. Like as soon as I get into Spotify, it's like, hey, just so you know, there's a new show. I was like, oh, all right.
Nice.
It actually works.
Because I don't do that. But
yeah. I do it just to do it. It's interesting hearing what we talk about on the way home from work.
It is. The couple times you've made me do it, I'm like, really? We I don't remember saying that or oh yeah, we did say that.
Yeah. I do that all the time now.
It's been interesting. Yeah.
I was like,
for sure.
Or if I say something about someone, I'm like, fuck. All right. I'm sure I'll get a text message about this. Or
I'm so glad I don't get anything.
Yeah. It's only 1 or 2 people who know that it's them. Yeah. Because I don't even know if my best friend listens. I don't think so. But, like when I say something about him, it's great. I know I can say anything about him and he'll never get a text message from him. So I can bury my best friend as often as I can.
I was worried about my dad, but he doesn't listen either. But one of his friends does from time to time. And he says, I heard that you did a podcast about such and such. And I'm like, oh yeah, where'd you hear that? But he doesn't listen. It's almost like he doesn't want to know. And I get it.
I kind of miss that about my mom now that she's not with me anymore.
Yeah, because she would listen.
She would listen, and then I would get like, little reviews back and forth. So it was really, I miss that a lot because she always had some kind of constructive criticism to throw my way, and then I could
you never tell me what anybody says, really. So
I mean, most of it's just like, oh, hey, I like the show. Oh, I like the show.
Criticism, yeah.
Or this was a good show. Like even the people that I would say are close to me, like local people that listen to it. Like I got a text the other day. She was just like, "Good show." I was like, "Oh, thanks."
Which one?
Well, I think this one was. What was that one on? I think it was the last show that we did. Let's see. Well, she listens to all of them, so she'll say, "Hey, I listened to this one." Let's see. She was the one who got me on best places to have sex. She thought that was kind of humorous. She was talking about like just funny things. Oh, body image over 40 because she's over 40. So she said that like she liked that one because we hit on we hit on some good ones.
My friends did have things to say about strange places they had sex because, they listen to the podcast and then they're like, oh, I got a place for you. And I'm like, well, now it's too late, but where's the story with that?
Right. Well, it's never too late.
You got something to say right now.
Yeah. And then she listened to it. She liked the one on the Polly show. That was good.
That was hard. That was a hard show because for the first time I actually said something so that it's now out there. There's no more trying to conceal it from certain people. So that for me was a little difficult. Yeah. I don't want to listen to it again.
I definitely think that there's probably going to be more shows like that as we go.
I'm sure.
After a year doing this, we're pretty open about things that we've done in our past, which I think is great for both of us. It's good to get some of these things out. I
still don't know because when I was talking to a friend, a male friend, he said, really, do you want all your shit out in the open? Because you're not one to not try things. Like it might be better for you to say, no, I've never done that once in a while.
Right.
And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay to not tell everybody everything.
We were kind of talking about that, about dating. If someone listens to this and you end up dating them, like they know a lot about you already. Yeah, so
well, better to know it up front.
Yeah, I mean, I think you go into this with your eyes very wide open. So
right, and still nothing. No.
and still you'll learn. I think that's the better thing. God, yes. You'll definitely learn. So this week we thought we'd talk about a subject that someone kind of threw my way, which I thought was kind of humorous. Like, why are kids such pansies now? Like why have we turned our kids into these shell-shocked, safe place, weaker kids? And I hate to say that it's true, but I definitely see it through my kid because he'll say things about like Twitter. He goes on Twitter and just giggles. He goes because all these people are just weak. And like they go on and it's just like a blitzkrieg of bullshit. Like they just pound each other. And he's like, these people are out of control. Like that no one can hear no anymore, or no one can hear a different opinion without losing their shit. And I think that modern children are definitely, becoming pansies or weak. They're just.
Well, it's a shame because what I see being older in the generation where the kids that were my age, they're grown up now. I've seen a lot of kids didn't get the attention that they needed. Like instead they were handed their phone or a video game or the computer, and they spent a lot of time alone. So they didn't have the same social networking that a lot of people in older generations had. They didn't have the structure of family, which I think is really a big one. So I don't know. I don't think that we could really expect the same thing out of them because they spent a lot of time having all the answers. Like I used to have an encyclopedia of dictionaries that I had to do my homework out of to find every vocabulary word. Like they just have to Google stuff up and they've got more than what they need.
So do you think we've made them weaker in that way because they have too much?
Absolutely. If you don't struggle, you don't know what you're made of. And if kids are always given everything, what do they have to struggle for?
Right.
Well, you know what they're struggling for? They're struggling for their time, for your time now.
That's true.
But everybody's working to give everybody what they need and all the perks that come with life. So it's sad because we didn't teach kids how to work. They don't have to work. Everything gets handed to them. And they don't have a family around to lean on because everybody's working.
Yeah. I also think that the way that they see things through other people, they don't understand no. Like my kid got it kind of quick, but even he would say things like, I'd say, no, I don't want to do that. Why? What do you mean why? Because I said no. Doesn't matter. I don't have to have a fucking excuse. But that's what they want. They want to know why. Like they think that they have the right to know things like that.
Well, because everybody talks in front of them. Remember when we were sent outside to play? Like there was a reason for that.
Right. But I mean, look, I was a single dad. So my son was raised more like an adult early in life. Like I probably made him an adult too quick. So maybe that's why he did question things like he was on the same level as me. But I had nip that shit in the ass. So one day he said something to like kind of talk back to me. And I was like, I'm not your friend. Like, don't talk to me like that. You take that shit somewhere else. Cause I smack back. Like, don't get crazy.
I remember my dad said something similar. Like, don't get it wrong. Like, I'm not your friend. I'm your dad. And I'll show you how.
Exactly.
How dad I am.
Yeah. He was like, don't get it twisted.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much how it was too.
Yeah. And I think that now, and again, I think a lot of it is like colleges. Like there's literally safe spaces in college. Safe spaces.
Yeah, I heard that. I think that's kind of bullshit.
What kind of shit is that?
But if we don't teach kids how to deal with aversion and problems and everything, every place is going to need to have a safe place. You know what I mean?
I mean,
we've kind of messed it up.
We've definitely messed it up. We've made them to where that they think words are violence. Mm-hmm. Like what? No, violence is violence. Words are just words. Like, and I've heard it over and over. Like I'll watch YouTube videos of some of these people, like reaction videos, and they literally will say that. Oh, you can't say that word. You can't say that because you're being violent towards a group. Like, no, dude, they're not. They're just saying things. It's how you take that. If what I say triggers you, that's also a problem. You should be able to take that and it doesn't trigger you into wanting to do anything. It should step you back.
Did you ever feel triggered when you were younger? Was that even a thing? Because I don't remember being triggered. People pissed me off. Like I had an opinion about the way I was being treated, but triggered? The hell is triggered? Yeah.
Well, triggered is to the point where it debilitates you. Again, people will say things to people and it just makes them roll up in a ball. When we were younger, someone said something to you, you were ready to go. Well,
when people had different political opinions, just the people that were hearing it just shut down, changed the subject and moved on. It wasn't like, oh, well, I'm triggered or I can't hang out with you because we don't have the same beliefs. It was almost like it was overlooked. And then you just didn't revisit that subject again.
Yep, totally.
And you may have talked shit behind the person's back or whatever, but they had their opinions, you had yours, but you could still coexist
all the time.
That's not happening anymore.
I think that I did that more than most people, because most people, if they really knew what I thought, wouldn't have hung out with me. But I
agree with that also, because I'm the same way, but I just shut down and don't say anything. Well, I'll change the subject quick as I can, because there's just things I won't talk about.
Some things you have to fight the battles that you think are necessary. Yeah. Most of those weren't necessary to me.
No.
It's like, because we had other things in common that I could overlook or
for sure,
or look a certain way. It's kind of like if you're there's tons of friends that people who are religious and people who are atheists. And they just don't know it.
Me and you growing up, I was always going to different churches looking for a more spiritual path. And you were like, nope, I don't know if there's a God. I say there isn't. And that's that. Like we had very different opinions on that.
And how things have changed. I wouldn't tell you that there's no God now.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad. I always worried about you saying that. I don't know why I did.
You're not the only one.
Oh, come on.
My best friend exists.
Really?
I was told many times that I'm going to the fiery pits of hell.
Well, I didn't know where you were going, but I just thought that's got to be sad to not have like an ultimate anything to the anchor, something to believe in or fall back on, or get you through. Well, I'm worried about that for you.
We'll have to do a show on religion, but I think that's a very touchy subject. So we're going to have to, I think, take that. We'll take that. We'll have to talk off air for a long period of time. I say
we do it next week. We got a lot we could say on that. I don't think we need to talk about it before. We'll just go on and do it.
Cool. We'll do it. Then that's what we'll do. We'll do that one next Sunday. We'll do it on God's day. We'll tape that there. But I think that things like that, where now, if you have one thing wrong, these kids run so far from each other, bury each other on social media. This guy believes this, and he believes this. This is a red
flag. What the frick does that mean?
Yeah. Or
somebody disagrees with you?
Yeah. Get exactly. And if they really understood what that's going to mean long run, and maybe things will change because businesses are changing to have safe spaces for people, and you can't say this or you can't say that. Even now, where I work now is an HR nightmare. We say all kinds of crazy shit, but we all believe a lot of the same things. So like, and I'm telling you, like, we say crazy shit that would in modern things would get you fired in 2 seconds. But but we know the limits, and we've talked in, like, look, dude, if something offends you, like, say it, like, take me aside and say
let me know.
Yeah. And I can let it go. But if we're all laughing, it's like, you have to be part of that. And like I said, like, we say some crazy shit, which is great.
And shouldn't you have a thicker skin than I'm offended? I don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah. When people say they're offended, I just want to go and slap them. Like, now you should be offended.
Yeah. Well, when people say that to me, I go,
a hard time with that.
When people say I'm offended, I go, cool, be offended.
Mm-hmm. Go to your safe place.
Well, just be offended. It's okay. Like, I'm offended too, but I don't go, oh my God.
You wronged me.
I just go, all right, well, all right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like comedians. Cause I think that, like, comedians now, just the things they say make modern kids break down and, on the floor and cry, because now comedy is meant to offend. That's what it is. It takes social political things and makes them funny within the realm of, like, entertainment, but making you think. And now you can't. When people say that kind of shit, it makes me laugh. Tom Segura, he's a comedian. He's like one of my favorites, and he's very offensive. And he talks about fans.
I saw him a couple times.
Yeah, he talks about fans and being, like, offended, and he's like, be offended then. He goes, if you come to a ha-ha show and you get offended, you're the problem. Like, you should understand that what you're getting yourself into. Like, I love Dave Chappelle. Love Dave Chappelle.
Oh my God, he's hilarious.
Dave Chappelle's great. But you know who he shits on all the time? White people. So shouldn't I be offended? He says things, I go, damn, dude, that's pretty fucked up, but it's still funny.
But it's true. Yeah. He says some really real shit.
Yeah. But even maybe it may not be true to me, but it might be true to him coming from being black. But it's still, I can still see the humor in it. I go, I might not ha-ha at it a lot, but I can go, it's still funny. Because I find the humor.
Listening to him. He cracks. If I see something of his as I'm, like, going through life, I always sit and listen to it.
One of my favorite ones. One of my favorite ones is when he talks about LeBron James in the WNBA. Dude, one of the greatest ones. He goes, if LeBron James became trans overnight, he would go to the WNBA where he would score 800 points a game. Like, just, there's funny humor in that. But those are things that make modern kids break down, and, like, they're like, it's blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, society in general is not going to cater to you. They're just not. And the more that the new generation fights against traditionalism that we just did a show on, it's going to become harder and harder and harder, because people who are traditionalists are going to find ways to shut that shit down. And that's another thing they don't want to hear. The people who run this country or run the big businesses, are going to not change if they don't have to. I just find it weird because, like I said, I have a 20-year-old who I wouldn't say he's definitely not a pansy, because he sees the world from a different colored lens, and it's not rose colored at all. I think the more he sees things online, the more he's changing, because I thought he had a different view on a lot of things. And I would say something to him like, this is what I think. And he'd go, yeah, I can see that. I was like, oh, like I didn't see that coming. Because I think the more time he spends on Twitter, the more he's seeing that the Twitter mob is a very small minority that have big fucking mouths. And he's like, these people are dumb, and let them go off to their safe space, or, this kind of shit. Because when they get in the real world, someone's going to say something to them that they think is violence, and then they're going to say something back, and the real violence is going to start. They're going to get punched in the face. And until you get punched in the face for real, trust me, words.
You don't know violence.
Yeah, words are the greatest thing to get hit by. I'd rather get hit by a word, because it hurts way less. So
I agree.
I just think that these kids are we need to harden them up to the real world. And I heard the other day, the best thing in the world is don't let your kids go to college and homeschool them. So you have a way to keep the armor on them, because sending them to these places where they're just going to become soft, because they're being taught like mostly men, like men are being taught to like not be men. Like, it's okay. Yeah. Like, wear a dress. What's wrong with that? It's like, no, dude, don't do that. Stop. Or
yeah, but don't men, like, I remember when we were younger and we would say, you don't have a costume for Halloween. Well, just dress up as a girl. I'll give you my dress. We'll do this and that. And they're like, no. Yeah. No. Like, it just, no. It wasn't, there was no room for any discussion other than no. No. Exactly. So where did it change? I thought that was just, yeah. I don't think it did. I don't think boys want to dress up as girls unless they're, struggling with their identity. I still don't think guys want to do that. No, I don't think so either. I mean, look, although maybe it's becoming more and more okay. Like, look, even in the 80s when glam rock was big, like, do you know what we said about those guys? Like a lot. And there was a lot of 3-letter words going around. So at the end of the day, like once you learned about the reality of those guys were the biggest whore bags that just went to work on women. Like, they just wore makeup, but they went to work. They were men. They were manly men, actually. Yeah. But during that time, that was the social stigma of like, dudes don't wear makeup. And even today, like, I think it's a very small minority who would say guys should wear makeup every day. Yeah. And it's probably in 3 states. It's like New York, California, and maybe Oregon. You go to the South and try that shit. Go to Texas and try that shit. No, you are a very small minority, and they will put you in a safe space very quickly because they will talk because they will talk shit. So I would say that you're probably, and maybe we live in California and it's a liberal haven, very liberal, because I think that along the other states that we're talking about, a lot of states outside of that, maybe kids aren't pansies and they're still, driving trucks and playing in the cornfields and still doing the more traditional thing of not being like hurt by words. Yeah, the whole hurt by words is definitely setting up a whole generation of victims. Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And
And again, it starts at home. Like my son had said, like, I would yell at him and he'd kind of get upset. And he's like, well, why are you yelling? And I was like, 'cause I'm fucking pissed. That's why I'm yelling. I'm yelling for a reason. It's not, it's because I'm angry. It's not, I'm not trying to trigger your ass or any of that kind of stuff. It's like, stop. And I think that, hopefully, long run, he understands that I wasn't trying to be mean. It was just things that, like, I got yelled at all the fucking time. And again, that's probably why I raised him the way my dad did. And I
didn't know that wasn't a way to be raised. Getting yelled at was normal in my house.
Exactly. And it was for years, but maybe that's the problem too. Maybe kids aren't getting yelled at home anymore. Now they're like, oh, sweetie, I know you did this. And
here's a trophy.
Don't get me started on fucking that participation trophy. That is another reason why kids are pansies, because everyone gets a fucking free trophy. That you shouldn't get a trophy for losing, ever.
Well, I get that. I agree with that.
You need,
but
to.
I don't think that the emphasis should be put on a trophy to begin with.
No, but in a game, it is.
No, it should, when you're teaching your kid, it should be about sportsmanship. It should be about learning your skills. It should be about being better and working to be better, to be athletic and stuff. It shouldn't be about a trophy. Until they've grown and got their skills and are competing.
I totally disagree with that, but it's about winning, and you have to teach a winning mentality. And it's like winning in life. It's a way of saying that you got to the top of the hill. Look, you have to learn how to lose. If you don't learn how to lose, life is going to be very, very, very hard. And I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. I'll give you an example. You're really good in high school. You're a quarterback in high school. You never lose in high school, right? So you're so good, you go to a Division 1A school like, Alabama. Alabama doesn't lose. For 4 fucking years, you don't lose there. Now you're going to go to the NFL. You're going to be the number 1 draft pick. The number 1 draft pick goes to the shittiest team in the league. When you go there, you start losing. You don't know how to lose because you haven't lost in fucking 10 years. So when you go there, it's so hard for these young people who don't know how to lose because they've never lost before. So learning how to lose is important. It's a building block of trying to get better. And I think that's with everything. It's like working a job in the very beginning and not doing very well and getting fired. When you get fired, you should take that and stoke the flame of getting better at doing something to the next job where you don't get fired. So learning how to lose, I think, is very important. By getting a trophy, everyone gets a fucking trophy. Everyone thinks they are winners. And sometimes you're just not a winner. And that's the hard part. Don't be a fucking pansy. Learn how to lose. I'm crazy about that. I would never give my kid a participation trophy if they won. If they didn't win, I'd be like, nah, it's junk. You shouldn't keep it. You lost. It's okay. Lose. When I did hockey games, I played rec hockey for for 10 years. I was in 2 championship games and lost both of them. I remember walking into the dressing room afterwards and throwing my sticks across the whole locker room. And it got dead silent in there. And I sat in the corner. When I went home that night, I hung all my shit up and sat in my living room in the dark and thought about it. Because I'm competitive, and being competitive is what gets you ahead in life.
Yeah, but when you're a kid, you should be working on just being able to play the game proficiently, not even worrying about any of that.
But then don't give anyone trophies at that level.
Well, I'm okay with that too. Because
that would solve the problem.
We set up everybody to be special, and not everybody is special. And by giving everybody a trophy, everybody's special. Yep. Don't give anybody a trophy. Let's just do that.
That solves the problem.
Nobody's special. Let's just learn how to play the game proficiently.
Yeah, but understand that the game is about winning. You have to understand that that's still
at a certain age it should be, but when they're playing T-ball and all that bullshit, they don't need all that stuff. Come on.
But once you get to like fast pitch, where pitchers are pitching the ball to you, another kid is pitching the ball to you, it's about winning. You should understand. But it's also, now here's the flip side to that. It's also about team building. That I think that's another thing that's not taught anymore. Like, team building is important. Like, that if we don't learn how to teach kids to be a team, that is another problem why these kids are becoming pansy asses. Like, they don't understand that a team is what builds walls, or a team is what that conquers the job, or a team is what goes to war. That's why we won't have an army. Well, the standing army in this country in 20 years will be done. We won't even have one because no one's joining the military, because they can't get. Now, I just saw something online. There's this one guy that I follow on YouTube. You know that they've changed like tons of the requirements to get into the military, or like boot camp. Boot camp is now soft as shit. They've taken away all kinds of tests, we've talked about it before. Like, the women have a different test. They have to pass that the men don't. The men's one's harder and the women's is easier. It's like, what are we teaching these people that you're teaching the exact same thing? Women are just weak. Like, you don't have to do 25 push-ups, but the guy does. You only have to do 15. You can do them on your knees.
When the thing is that you need to be at your physical best if you're going to do any sort of combat.
Sure. So everyone should be on the same level, but and you can't yell at people anymore. Like with the exception of the Marine Corps, because my little brother was like, yeah, they tell you before, when you sign up, they can't yell at you until you get there, and then they give 2 fucks, and my little brother said they called everybody every word you can think of. But my oldest daughter said that the Army was definitely different. They didn't scream at you or anything. So, and I think that, again, it just kind of makes you soft. You have to reprogram these people. And now, again, you get yelled at, people start crying. Like, damn, are we that weak now? That now you barely say anything to somebody and they go to tears?
They should have grew up in my house with the women in my life. Fuck. They didn't know how to be nice. Yeah. Seemed like.
Well, and I just think that they were tougher. That those women were just tough, because their dad, who maybe you had no boys in the family, that dad was probably tough, because he wanted his daughters to understand that when you get out into the real world, that men could be dicks, or men could do this to you, and be ready. And now it's just like that. I don't think that that's being taught either. It's like, everything will be fine. Don't do this. Or if you're mad at school, go into this room, everything will be fine. It's just quiet. You'll be around other people that are pansies too. And you can all be pansies together. It's like, fuck, man.
Pansies together.
So just imagine now. Do you know who must rule the roost? Bullies. Like, real bullies.
Oh yeah.
Real bullies now. Whoo, those guys must be just taking money out of people's pockets at will. Because now the guys who are, I mean guys as in both women and men, but I know you can't say that anymore, because that's another word that pisses people off. You can't say guys anymore. Don't get me started. But the people who are ultra bullies, they must rule the roost, man, because what are you going to do? Because now you go to somebody and go, give it up. If not, I'm beating your ass after school outside the school grounds. And those people aren't ready to fight. At least back in our day, if you knew you were if 3 o'clock was coming, you're like, all right, well, I guess I'm throwing down today. Like, at least, like, you had to. Now, these people are just, again, the words are violence, not violence. Violence is bad, is real violence. And what's going to happen to protect yourself when you get into the societal world when you're 22, 23, 25, where bad things happen now. Bad things happen. And these people are just going to lay down and get shot in the face. that.
Well, I hope not. I mean,
me too. I hope not too.
There's still an instinct that we have to defend themselves.
Some, I think that you'd be less likely to see that. They've seen people who just ball up now and just like, whatever. It's like, and again, maybe that's just a where you're at thing, because I think that a lot of places in this country are still probably teaching more of those values of tradition and, you know, protect yourself, be like this. And mostly from a man standpoint, maybe, because I think that you get more of what people would say toxic masculinity are definitely like Texas. People down there are masculine. They don't play that shit down there. And
that toxic, putting toxic before that just sets men up. I hate that term.
So do I. It's because it's nonsense. It's not toxic. It's just being masculine.
Mm-hmm.
But see, now
too
here's
masculine for today's society, though.
Well, and here's the flip side of that.
Bullshit.
And we're going to have to do a show on it because we're going to have to do some research. But another one of my friends sent, there's toxic femininity, which is the reverse of that. It's where it's psycho crazy. I'll have to send you some info on it. But is there toxic masculinity? Sure, probably. If we're playing the bell curve, the very top level of masculinity could probably be toxic. But I think the 95% of masculinity is what makes this country go from a man standpoint. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, like on the other show, like when you need a masculine man, them women are calling for whatever it is they need them for. So don't call it toxic when it's not good for you. Because I think that's what people do. They say this guy's toxic masculinity until you need that guy. Because when you need the guy to throw down and do crazy shit, you're calling Bill, because Bill's coming mm-hmm. and he's going to throw down and do horrible things to people. But you might not date him because he might be crazy. It's like, wait a second, you can't have both. You got to have a little of that toxicity to have the guy who's going to do the stuff for you.
And again, you have to be a woman when you're with a man. You don't act like a man when you're with a man. Like It's just, you know, there's the yin and the yang, there's mm-hmm. the give and take. And I truly believe that for as masculine as a man is, a woman could be that feminine and still hold her power.
Sure.
And that's not what we're teaching women. That's not what we're teaching men. You know, it's like neither is good or bad. It's just both necessary in order for the give and take to flow between a couple. Mm-hmm. And I think we've lost track of that, because I remember back in the day, I had a boyfriend who would just fly off the handle. And when one time he did that, I grabbed his hand, I stuck it on my boob. It scrambled his brain. He was not pissed off anymore. He did not know what hit him. He was fine after that. Like it was enough to calm him down to where he was at a good level. And did it hurt me? No. Did it take from me? No. Was it exhausting? No. It took a whole 2 seconds to handle that. But did I do that being right? So did I force anything? No, women don't have to. Women have the power. They're using it wrong. You don't have to be manly in order to get things handled. You mm-hmm. have to be able to show your soft side. You have to be able to be a woman and own that. And then like men could be as masculine as they want to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have the key.
Well, and if we don't teach these kids how to be masculine and feminine, you're going to end up mm-hmm. with a bunch of pansy asses that don't yes. understand. Or you're going to end up with girls who again, in the wrong part, if you think you can fight a man, bad things are going to happen. Just mm-hmm. That's fact. And I know people don't want to hear that shit, but that's it's true. On the curve, 95% of women are going to be in trouble. Now, on the flip side of that,
listen, go ahead.
No,
on the flip side.
On the flip side of that, you can't have men who are feminine. You can have emotional sides of people, but femininity is a woman's trait and masculinity is a man's trait. And we're going to end up making children who are men who are so feminine or so reserved that they're not going to take care of that woman.
And they're going to be belittled because women are still going to need that. And they're going to be so butch and masculine that it's not going to come out right.
Yeah. Or they're just going to think that they're going to be like, oh, I like this guy the way he is until something bad happens. And then they're going to be like, he's weak. And he didn't protect me. And this happened. It's like, well, you made him. Moms are making them right now. There are mothers who are making pansy ass feminine boys because and they're single moms who don't have no man in their life. And then they think that what they're doing is okay. No, it's not. You're going to make some pansy ass kid who's going to run to a safe space in the corner and fall down on the ground and say, I don't know what to do. It's like, no, pump your man up. To think that you're making toxic kids is crazy. It's like, and I love when people are like, don't say, well, boys will be boys. Why? Boys will be boys. Just don't be assholes. There's a difference. To say, he did this because he's a boy. Like, I love when people will try to defend rapists and they're like, well, he just did it because he's a man. No, he's a fucking idiot. He should be shot in the face. I'll never defend some rapist because he raped some girl because that's what boys do. No, it's not. That's nonsense. Those are just shitty people. But boys will be boys. Like, boys will want to go out and wreck shit and burn, blow up shit. That's boy shit.
And
that's
drive fast.
And drive fast. And so to say that kind of thing is stop making these masculine or feminine boys. And the same on the flip side. Like I had two daughters, my stepdaughters, that I wanted to be feminine. I wanted them to still be soft. You can still take care of shit, but still be feminine and soft and be a woman. There's something to that. It's like no man wants some woman who's so rough around the edges that he doesn't want to be around her. I don't. I want a woman. I want someone who's feminine. And look, you can have your shit together. Like, I'm not saying don't have a job and stay home, cook me dinner all fucking day. What I'm saying is be feminine. I want a girl who, I think today we've, and again, like I'm older. So like when we went to school, there were girls in mini skirts and high heels. It's like, I want to, those were feminine girls then. And now, the 90s kind of fucked that up with girls with baggy jeans and fucking the Nirvana look. And thankfully they became more feminine again. But like, I want a girl who's feminine. Like, I don't care if, like, girls who wear jeans and tennies are awesome. Like, I think that's great, but I also do want the sundress, and I want someone to be feminine. And look, sometimes there's something about a girl in a trucker hat with a ponytail. There just is. And I won't lie about that too. There is something about that that's sometimes really good. And on the flip side of that, there's something about a woman in a dress with her hair done and looking pretty. And then there's the middle ground. There's the girl who's, chill looking, got two big braids and looks cute. You're a guy that likes girls is what I'm hearing. Well, but I think most men do. But I think we've gone away from a lot of that traditional feminine feel. Like there's, I don't want a hard ass. I want someone who's going to, on the flip side of me. And I know I probably come off sounding super misogynistic, but I want someone, I don't want a girl who's going to belittle me when I get home. I want someone who's going to fucking come to, that's going to come to me and be like, hey, I'm here for you. Like, be there for me. Like, I don't want to come home and just be belittled every day. It's like, I'd rather be single. It's like, fuck. And I think that's
I like to be like, hey, my friend's here. Let's have fun. Let's interact. Yeah.
So we need to change the progression of what we're teaching our children. And again, like, you can be traditional and still be somewhat modern. You can have modern views, but the tradition of what we are and what we tell people is scary to me. Like, we're making weak children that are just going to make a weak society, because weak people get ran over. And I don't want that. I want my kid to go out in the world and be like, okay, I can do this. And if he gets hammered the first time, he's going to go to the next place and go, I can still do this. I can still do this. So, and what we're doing right now is just making people, like you said, victims. I got fired. Because, I didn't want to come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, even though the job said 8. I can't work at 8 o'clock. Then why'd you come here? Kick rocks. Like, we need to be way sterner with people. And
I agree.
And hopefully
have higher expectations of people.
Just, instill that in your child to be better than the next person. That's what I told my kid going forward. I said, go in and learn. When you get a job, learn everything as quick as you can, because then you're not doing that job very long, because they see you doing something else. They're going to want to promote you, and they're going to want to promote you. So you might end up being a warehouse guy in the beginning, and then, a year from then you're running the warehouse, because there's not enough people out there who are go-getters anymore. They all want to be handed something because they're the victim mentality. I don't know. I just think that we've made weaker children, and going forward, it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how it goes.
I hope not. I definitely think we need to fix things. And I wish I had the answers of how, but I definitely think being tough on your kids is not a bad thing.
Depends on who you talk to, because my daughter would not agree with that. But I thought, you're the only kid I know that grew up with you that got a master's. Yeah. So maybe me being who I was helped that.
For sure. You're being tough makes people push through their adversities. You don't take the first punch on the chin and fall down. You go, okay, that hurt. I got to keep going. So I don't know. This is what I like to tell people. Like, you look at someone like us, where we got treated like the generation before us. They were hard on us. They pushed us. We had to work early. We did all this different stuff. And we all
said things that made us cry.
Yeah. And we raised the next generation of kids, and we had the job to do it. So they pushed us to be something better to raise this next generation. So teaching them the same thing is not bad. It's going to teach them to push forward and be better people. So I don't know. That's my view.
Me too.
Good. Good. All right. So that's it for this week. Make sure to check out our socials, that Facebook, Twitter that my son loves so much, Instagram, and anywhere you can hear this, subscribe, and whatever. What's the other one?
And follow
on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and many other places. And, before you decide not to come back here next week, just remember, this is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. Keep coming back and hearing our crazy view. And please, if you'd like to come on to the show and do one with us, we're always looking for friends and family and such to do our show for interviews. Until next Wednesday, I am Rob, along with my co-host, Tina. Thank you so much, Tina.
Oh, you're welcome.
And we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Good night.